Good morning, everyone. You are among the most devoted. Why didn't you just cuddle up back into your blanket and stay home? But you came out here today because you are a seeker of truth, that you can sustain a life truly worth living. And you can't do that without being in alignment with the creation and the Creator itself. So kudos to you for showing up today. Is there anybody here? Am I talking to myself? Is there anybody here from another unity? Okay, anybody here for the first time? Oh, okay. Leave your hand up. We have a gift for you. Leave your hand up because our ushers will bring you a gift. Anyway, Jesus had the same thing to say about John the Baptist. When he went out and he was speaking to the people, he would say, "Why did you show up here in the wilderness to hear John? Did you come out to hear a king talk about living a good life and wearing fine raiment? No. You didn't come out here to this wilderness for that. You came out to hear the truth that would free you from the illusion of the world." You're going to love this talk being given by Syntysche.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity of Boulder. Those of you brave enough to actually hit the roads and come on in and join us in person today, thank you for making that extra effort. But also thanks to those of you who are joining us online. We love spending time with you every Sunday. Got a few announcements of upcoming events here at Unity of Boulder. First up, we have a prosperity class that is going to start this Tuesday, the 21st. It'll be led by Zoilita Grant, who is an absolute prosperity genius and master. It's going to be a 4-week class, but here's the interesting thing about it. She's going to be teaching it twice each of the 4 Tuesdays that she's teaching it. She's going to be teaching it at 3 p.m. here at Unity of Boulder and at 6 p.m. So if 3 p.m. works better for you, come at 3 p.m. But one week you could do at 3 p.m., the next week you could do at 6 p.m. Whatever works best for you. She's just trying to be flexible. That's $50, and that starts this Tuesday. And it's a fantastic way to start off your new year with restarting with prosperity-minded consciousness. So definitely check that out. Next week, we are going to have our second week of our open source spirituality group. That is our young adults, 18 to 25 group that we just started awesomely last week. They had a wonderful time hanging out and deciding what they want the group to be. So please, if you are 18 to 25 or know someone who's 18 to 25 looking for a nice spiritual group to meet other people, this is all you have to do is show up next week at 12:30. There's no sign up or anything for that. And next we have coming February 9th, we're going to have a new member presentation from 1 to 3 p.m. It's free. You don't have to sign up for it. You just show up. And what this presentation is, it's about learning about what it means to be a member here at Unity of Boulder. And following this presentation, if you would like to become one, the following Sunday we're going to have a ceremony right here on stage welcoming in full members of Unity of Boulder. So definitely check that out. That's Sunday, February 9th. All right, thank you.
Good morning, all of you brave drivers today. This is kind of a feat to get here, but we're glad to see you, and we're glad for everybody that's joining us online. This is the moment in our service where it's a call for prayer. It's an opportunity for us to align our consciousness with others that might be facing some challenges right now, and we can write their name down on a prayer sheet that's available to you in the pew in front of you. And Steve Sheets, who's the head of our prayer team, will come down and collect those and put them in our prayer box where they'll be prayed over for 30 days here in Unity, and then they'll be sent off to Unity Village to Silent Unity and prayed for over another 30 days. So we sing this song to come into the presence and just leave the world outside these doors and just connect to this high consciousness that we are, and to remember the power that lives within all of us. So it is. And now we're going to invite our entertainment club up to sing with us. And my daughter, Arenya, will start us out on this number. And you can stay seated and just join us in singing.
Great unknown.
And now we'd like to welcome to the stage today's special musical guest, Lavinia Losif. Welcome back, Lavinia. You might recognize her from being a major part of our Christmas show this last year, or from just a minute ago when she was right here. Take it away, Lavinia.
You from afar and think what a work of art, like the depths of the Grand Canyon or a canopy of stars. And if I had to place it there, I bet there's a little voice inside your head lying. Dust all your precious things, display them on a shelf, or walk right past the mirror and don't recognize yourself. You're the hands to the needy and a code for the cold. What I see when I see you is a heart made of gold. If you feel like you are not valuable, let me tell you, there's more. If your heart is running in circles, telling your head things that are not true, what would God say to you? Oh, every tear he catches with his hand, and he knows the way your heart breaks within. You're valuable. Story you've been told that put a stain on your soul. Was it handed down your family line? A memory you try to hide? Is there something in the distance that won't allow you to reconcile? Oh, just remember, if you feel like you are not valuable, let me tell you, there's more. If your heart is running in circles, telling your head things that are not true, what would God say to you? You, oh, every tear he catches with his hand, and he knows the way your heart breaks within. You're valuable. If you feel like
Thank you, Lavinia. That was so beautiful. She was one of our main soloists at Christmas time, if you didn't get to see our production. It was really quite amazing. And both the shows are on YouTube. If you just look up Unity Boulder Christmas 2024. I guess we're in 25. It's hard to catch up. Are you finding that you're writing your checks, or are checks null and void for all you guys? Are we all getting old? All right, well, my talk title today is What Makes a Rosa Parks, a Nelson Mandela, or a Martin Luther King Jr.? I wanted to remember those who faced great segregation and adversity today and recognize how they made a difference for something greater than themselves: social justice, human rights, and inclusivity in this country and in this world. This talk is in recognition for Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which is tomorrow, and so we can recognize this wonderful man that made a big difference, and all of these people participated in that. Speaking to these topics is difficult being a white person in a very white town, and I just got done with a DEI class, which is a diversity, equity, and inclusivity class, and you recognize what a lack of diversity we have in this town after doing a class like that. But Unity, the movement, is based in Missouri, which has all of the beautiful colors, ethnicities, race, sexual identification, gender identity. It's so wonderful to see the rainbow and the reality of what the human world looks like in this country. But Boulder's kind of needing to step up a little bit when it comes to all this. So I wanted to recognize all of these wonderful black people that did great things in selflessness to make a difference. Nelson Mandela lived from 1918 to 2013, and he was a South African anti-apartheid activist and the first black president of South Africa. His story is one of fighting against oppression and injustice, and of becoming a symbol of hope and resilience for his people. He was known and loved around the world for his commitment to peace, negotiation, and reconciliation. Nelson Mandela was South Africa's first democratically elected president. Mandela was an anti-apartheid revolutionary and political leader, as well as a philanthropist with an abiding love for children. I'm bringing this up today because tomorrow is a big day, and there's an inauguration, and we have to remember where we came from so we don't make the same mistakes in the future. Rosa Parks was a civil rights activist who refused to give up her seat to a white passenger on a segregated bus in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955. Her act of defiance led to the Montgomery bus boycott and the integration of public transportation in Montgomery. She was arrested and found guilty of disorderly conduct. She lost her job at the department store where she worked as a seamstress, received death threats and endless phone calls, and moved to Detroit with her husband. She participated in the civil rights movement, including the March on Washington in 1963. She witnessed the signing of the Voting Rights Act in 1965 and received the Presidential Medal of Freedom and the Congressional Gold Medal. Martin Luther King Jr. lived from 1929 to 1968 and was a Baptist minister and civil rights leader who fought for racial equality and human rights in the United States. He was a key figure in the American civil rights movement, using nonviolent protest or challenged Jim Crow laws and other forms of discrimination early in life. He was born Michael King Jr. in the United States to African-American parents. He experienced segregation at a young age when he was told he couldn't play with a white friend. In 1955, King helped organize a boycott of city buses after Rosa Parks was arrested for refusing to give up her seat to a white man. In March on Washington in 1963, King led the March on Washington, to a peaceful protest that helped pass the Civil Rights Act. I Have a Dream speech. In 1963, King delivered his famous speech, calling for an end to segregation and racism. King was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964, becoming the youngest person to ever receive the award. His work helped pass landmark legislation like the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. So let's just honor them today. And remember where we come from, right? If you see, there's a duck, when you look at the African-American history, there's a duck where the head's always looking backwards. And it's always looking backwards to remind us to keep in the present and the future, that we don't ever go back. to allowing this kind of separation in this amazing country that's moved so forward and in such a little time could go backwards if we forget where we come from. Because in unity, we honor the oneness in everyone, regardless of their race, their ethnicity, their sexual orientation, or their gender identity. That is at the basis of our mission statement here at Unity of Boulder, and it's important to remember that. That's why we want to honor all of that. And when we go into this inauguration tomorrow, we need to be in a peaceful, prayerful place that we can stand up and be allies in whatever way we have to in the next 4 years to keep this in the presence in a peaceful way, to stand up for that which we see needs our support. So what makes a Rosa Parks, a Nelson Mandela, or a Martin Luther King Jr.? Faith does not depend on physical facts or on the evidence of the senses because it is born of intuition, or the spirit of truth ever living at the center of our being. What makes these people is their capacity to take the inner life seriously and to tap the sources of power that lie within, that are just as essential as external forces in transforming our institutions and society for a better. Every great movement for social change has been animated by people who have striven to understand, harness, and apply the power of the human heart, because those are the only powers they had. Everything else had been taken away from them, all external forms of power. So only by taking the inner life seriously and learning how to access and aim the power that is within everyone, not only individually but collectively, could any of these movements for great change have ever happened. We can all relate with phases of life where we have felt that we had lost all external power and were forced or gently redirected back to the inner life for deep contemplation and revelation for what was needed next for better expression and healed results. If one was on a spiritual path, we may have perceived a ray of light, and through intellect cannot grasp it or give the why or wherefore or the thereof, yet we instinctively feel that the other end of the ray opens out into all there is of God, the good. This is faith. It is based on truth, but a truth of which everyone is not at the time conscious. Even this kind of faith will, if persisted in, bring radiant results for yourself and the collective. In Lessons in Truth, it says this. This is written by Emily Cady, who were employees of the Fillmores, and she says this: faith does not depend on physical facts or on the evidence of the senses because it is born of intuition, or the spirit of truth ever living at the center of our being. Its action is infinitely higher than that of reason. It is founded on truth, whereas reasoning or intellectual argument is founded on evidence of the senses and is not reliable. Right? I can only imagine when Rosa Parks went to the back of that bus and refused to get off of it, that it wasn't a moment where she had time to think about it. Right? There was an intuition. There was a hunch that something much greater was about to happen due to this defiant act to say that I am worthy. I'm important in this world, and there's many people that are important here, and I'm not willing to sit back and watch it, to the level that this person lost their job and lost everything and had to move from that area. But by this presence, to recognize this was allyship as well. Not only did she put her life on the line, but she was doing it for a broader purpose, for a bigger social message. And then Martin Luther King, at the level that he was at, was able to do something for her, to make it be something that changed the trajectory for Black people in this country. It's born of intuition. When we get a feeling like it's a time for us to step in and do something right. Allyship is a big thing now in this world, in this country especially, because so much has changed when it comes to equality in this country, and it would be really, really hard to see that go backwards at this time. And with our privilege, we have an ability to be allies and to step in and help. With any leadership role you carry, you have the ability to make a difference for social justice and human rights. right? And we have to remember that it's not, I know it's all about being peaceful and tranquil and not want to look at the news and not see all these things, but I'm sure you've heard the whisperings of how things are probably looking like they could change and go backwards. So what part in this are we a part of, right? If we're the second coming of Christ in this world, then it's asking us to heighten consciousness and power of the human heart within oneself to collectively step forward as a union to make the difference when Spirit is showing us the way, right? So in that statement, it says it is founded on truth. Well, as reasoning or intellectual argument is founded on evidence of the senses and is not reliable. And in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary that our founder, Charles Filmer, wrote, this is the metaphysical breakdown of truth. Metaphysical meaning of truth, the absolute, that which accords with God as divine principle, that which is, has been, and ever will be. It's the source. Truth is the everything. It's the word that we use, God, Spirit, Source, Allah, Mother Earth, whatever word makes you feel divinely connected to this something intelligence that moves through us. So it's the truth, and that the truth is that there's something that's always divinely guiding and directing us to do the right thing. When we feel that urge, we don't ignore it and we recognize, I have to step in now. I have to be an adversary for Spirit's work here, right? So also in Lessons in Truth, it says, intuition is the open end within one's own being, of the invisible channel ever connecting each individual with God. Faith is, as it were, a ray of light shot out from the central sun, God, one end of which the ray comes into your being and mine through the open door of intuition. With our consciousness, we perceive the ray of light, and though intellect cannot grasp it or give the why or wherefore thereof, yet we instinctively feel that the other end of the ray opens out into all there is of God. And this is blind faith. It is based on truth. So it's building that faith in this something that when we meditate and when we walk in nature, when we really emerge with our pets, when we really connect with our lovers, when we really take the time to listen from here and here, when we stop the monkey chatter and all the speaking us out of all of our good and all of the things that keep us feeling less than, and we emerge renewed with a new perspective, with a higher perspective of how much we are important at this time, that we're being called at this time, that there's no coincidences that we stepped in to be here during this time. We're evolved souls. We've been here many, many, many times because we are ready for this. We're built to be the adversaries of this moment. And we wonder why we might have this adversity tomorrow if you voted for it, or if you didn't, you probably voted for other things, and I get it. And I don't judge you at all, because I see there's some great things that could happen, and there's, with any president, there's good and bad. But to be aware and to be conscious that we're co-creators, because we're probably not facing a lot of changes that could come with this administration. But there are people that are. And just remember that. If we're all one, then we're all in this together, right? So every great movement for social change have been animated by people that did serious inner work to constellate and sort of consolidate and give trajectory to the powers of the human heart. Because those are the only powers they had. Everything else had been taken away from them, all external forms of power. So only by taking the inner life seriously and learning how to access and aim the power of that is in us. Not only individually, but collectively, could any of these movements for great change have ever happened. Black liberation in this country, the liberation movement in South Africa to get out under apartheid, and Eastern Europe to get out under communism, and Latin America to get out under raw exploitation of many sorts, and those, of course, ongoing movements. If you ask yourself what makes a Rosa Parks or what makes a Nelson Mandela, 38 years in prison, and whenever you see pictures of him, the smile on his face, the forgiveness in this being, This is a person that has visited the inner chambers, as Jesus would have said. What makes these people are the capacity to take the inner life seriously and tap the sources of power that lies within us, that are as important in the transformation in institutions and societies as any of the external powers that we give so much credit to. So change certainly begins with that work of individual transformation, which we don't force on people. People have to choose that. That's what these unity centers are for, is to be in community, to build these beautiful heightened consciousness energies, and then to do good with it in this world. There's no point in just doing it just to find our own inner peace. It's to discover how we can be adversaries to help inner peace for all others that are not protected. People have to enter a free and safe space to let that emerge within themselves. That's what our gatherings of trust in this setting today and every Sunday is all about. But a gathering of trust is also about a community of people that both evoke that inner work with each other and then support and affirm each other, bless each other really, in carrying that inner work forward. We do it as a team. And we're also kind of, still in this individualized energy since COVID. Something happened where we all got really comfortable with being alone and being in our nice little spaces. But the world is asking us to come together because we have a much greater voice in community. Community is needed, right? And I'm glad that you're joining us online, but if you live in Boulder, we would love for you to come in and join in the energy of community, or find a unity in your area and start supporting this beautiful spiritual work, right? So that's what the gathering of trust is here in Unity of Boulder. We are affirming in each other and blessing each other really and carrying that inner work forward. Because all of those other people I've named, Rosa Parks, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, was needed not only in their inner work, but needed external community to help them hold the fruits of that work and face into the challenges of bringing true to the inner teacher, and that's not an easy thing to do. And one needs a community of support in order to do that. So when you find that tap, when you've tapped into why you are here, what is your purpose, what is your cause, what is your thing? It doesn't necessarily have to be Nelson Mandela levels or Martin Luther King. It can be very localized and have such an incredible impact on maybe one person or 5 people. But it's the fact that you realize that you're one piece of a great puzzle that is asking you to get out of your individualized perceptions of your needs and what you need in this immediate and fulfilling it and getting cars and houses and da-da-da-da-da-da. When you get into social action and you care about humanity, you will lose time, you will lose days because you'll be participating in that which we've all been called as a collective. And we don't turn an eye to anything anymore. When we're called, we step in as much as it might scare us. And then when we do, it's easier each time. It's just like anything. You have to practice it. You have to be willing to open your voice. You have to be willing to open your mind. You have to be willing to open your heart. I believe that the work we do here at Unity is to help people inwardly, and it has consequences in the greater country and in the world. I think that we're doing in our gatherings of trust for us ordinary mortals, which those 3 people are too, also ordinary mortals. You realize it's something that happens within us to become extra unbelievable and historical, right? It's something that has to take that inner work, live in it, build it, grow it. And I think that we are helping each other reclaim selfhood, identity, and integrity in the power of our own hearts in a way that is held with discipline and intentionality that can flow towards the transformation of consciousness for our planet, for social justice, and for a healed and holy world. Every great movement for social change has been animated by people who have striven to understand, harness, and apply the power of the human heart. It didn't talk about intellect. It doesn't talk about, willing it. It's about the human heart. It's soft. It's the intelligence of the beingness. It's the intelligence of the soul. It's the part of us that never dies, that came in with deep empathy and compassion for everything that lives. We're heightening ourselves into getting out of the physicality of this experience and harnessing what is actually the part of us that goes on and on through many, many journeys in one lifetime and in the cyclical many lifetimes. Who believes that that's the reality? I love to see that, right? Because it makes this life really exciting. It makes us be a little less hard on ourselves, that we're trying to get it all right here and now, right? Because we fumble, and we grow, and then we mess up, and then we grow, but every single thing that we made a mistake with, and everything that we've grown with, every one of them have been beautiful teachers. Even the painful ones, even the most painful ones are usually the greatest teachers of all, right? So now I'm going to have you bring to mind a time in your life where the search for things outside of yourself got stilled by either something out of your hands or by you merely having a time-stop moment where the things of the spiritual became more important than the fleeting life of chasing for things outside, and for some reason it no longer intrigued you, or you just hit rock bottom, and somehow, in some way, you started to discover the things of spirit. And the spaciousness of that beauty started to take hold of you, and hence the real spiritual journey began. We all have one big thing we'll look back on. And then there's many, many, many things. But usually there's one kind of a life stop moment that renewed your perspective on the whole universe and on life. And it tends to be an anchor that we go back to be like, you can't make that stuff up. Like, how everything either fell into place or everything fell apart, or, it could be all of the above, right? That was an absolute show, right? I'm getting so good at not screwing up anymore. Syntysche finally growing up. Here we go. So, going back to that time where you felt so divinely directed and maybe even completely destroyed, but out of it came the wisdom of your life. And you never, ever, ever, ever faltered on your faith that there's something greater going on. Albert Einstein said it this way: a new type of thinking is essential if mankind is to survive and move toward higher levels. He also said the mind can proceed only so far upon what it knows and can prove. There comes a point where the mind takes a leap, call it intuition or what you will, and comes out upon a higher plane of knowledge, but can never prove how it got there. All great discoveries have involved such a leap. So we're just looking into it. What is that thing? And I hope you leave with that thing, because when we live from that, we recognize there's so much more going on. I was going to share a very personal story about the loss of my son and visions that I had, and I was taken to the other side and all that, and I don't feel like I'm in a space to share that right now for some reason, so I'm not going to, but I have plenty to do the proof of the experience of what's beyond this experience, right? We've all had those moments, and sometimes, and a lot of times, it's the thing that's broken you the most, that broke you open. And that's the reference, is that time in my life. And I was 31 years old at the time. And now it's opened me up to, it literally, within a month of the loss of my child, I was called to ministry. And they say, when does that moment happen? I'd been in ministry since I was 25 years old. And I thought I really got it. And I did get it. I had deep faith and unwavering faith. And I'd had those experiences of synchronicities and all the beautiful things that would come in and out, but nothing like when I was taken in the living form to the ethereal realm. So I'm going to share something with you that Wayne Dyer left us with before he passed away. And I'm running out of time. I might share it next week. We'll see. So, part of the process of awakening is recognizing that the realities we thought were absolute are only relative. All you have to do is shift from one reality to another once, and your attachment to what you thought was real starts to collapse. Once the seed of awakening sprouts in you, there's no choice. There's no turning back. Who can relate that you've had those seeds of awakening and you've never turned back? Right. It's amazing. And also in Romans it says this, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So Wayne Dyer talks about an experience he had in his book called Wishes Fulfilled. He writes, St. Francis's influence first appeared in my life in a large, beautifully framed print of the entire prayer of St. Francis, which was given to me by someone at a lecture more than 25 years ago. The messages of the prayer resonated with me profoundly, and I loved how it appeared, so I hung it in a hallway that led to my children's bedroom. I must have walked by the prayer at least 10,000 times in the decade that it hung there. Often I paused, read a few lines, and contemplated the magic in the words. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. And where there is darkness, let me bring light. These words seem more like a technology than a prayer. I loved thinking about hatred could grow into love and darkness could be illuminated, not by asking God to do it, but by being love and light. It seemed to promise that we humans had the ability to literally change suffering and pain by transforming ourselves. I had an experience when I took 162 people on a journey called Experiencing the Miraculous, where we visited holy places where genuine miracles have taken place in the 13th, 19th, and 20th centuries. On our second day in Assisi, we gathered in an ancient church built hundreds of years ago when Francesco lived there and began the Franciscan order. As my 2-hour talk was winding down in this holy building, something happened to me that I have never experienced in almost 4 decades of speaking. We can hear people running around in the hall. Oh my God, it's not working.
I gave a lecture there in this city where 4...
Okay. I love hearing the like, oh my goodness.
I gave a lecture there in this city where 4 million people visit every single year. We gathered in the Syntysche Abbey. This is where that lecture was held, and I spoke for 2 hours without any notes and felt that something very magical was happening there at that lecture. Something in almost 40 years of giving public lectures had never happened to me before. This was the culmination of a lifetime of thinking about these ideas and writing about them in many, many books based on spirituality and higher consciousness. When I gave the lecture, something happened to me at the end of that lecture. I did a reading from Nikos Kazantzakis' novel, his sort of fictional representation of the life of St. Francis. And the reading was a story that was told by Kazantzakis of how St. Francis was so terrified of lepers and how he embraced a leper because Christ had told him, you have to learn to love that which you fear and that which you despise, and have no place for anything but love in you. And when you find a leper, to kiss it on the mouth. And this will rid you of your fear. And ultimately, he realized that this leper was really Jesus Christ. And as I was reading that story and telling that story, something happened to me. I froze on stage. I couldn't speak. I started sobbing uncontrollably. And everyone in the room, in this beautiful Syntysche Abbey church that had been built in the 10th century, they all stood up, and everyone just reached their hands out to me. And I reached out my hands to them. There was no applause. There was no formalities like at the end of a talk. It was just as if everyone in the room just understood that something very, very miraculous was happening in the moment. And I don't know how long it lasted, but it seemed like 3 or 4 minutes where I just could not control the sobbing in a public lecture. It had never happened to me before. And when I left there and went back to the hotel, I laid in my bed and I realized that I was no longer talking about St. Francis, that we had become one. That at the highest levels of awareness, when you are passionate about what it is that you believe and what it is that you live, and you think from that place, that you actually become what it is that you place your attention on. That's the highest level of awareness that there is. And at that moment, I merged myself into the being, into the consciousness of St. Francis. And I felt as if something had taken over my body. And it's on the film of the lecture. And it's probably the most memorable moment that I've ever had in all the years that I've been doing public speaking.
So as we go forward from this talk, we have to recognize the power of the living heart within us and be open to learning new things about yourself. It's that beginner's mind or the no mind. It's starting to become a channel of this expression for ourselves, for our children, for our spouses, for our work, for our calling. To be open and receptive, that this universe is honorable, even when you're in a lot of challenging times, because the challenging times are the grower and the teacher. But this community is here to grow that energy so we all can be, as a collective, the change we want to see in this country and this world. Thank you.
What a beautiful way to enter this beautiful Sunday with Wayne Dyer sharing that profound moment when he merged with the divine, which is what we're all about doing. It's what we're doing in Unity. We're more and more opening our consciousness to merge with the divine and allow that divine intelligence and love to guide us. So we have received beautifully again today, and now we have the opportunity to give back, support these words of truth that we share here in Unity of Boulder. So those of you that are watching online, I would suggest to you, become part of Unity of Boulder, even if you don't arrive in the brick and mortar church, but you watch everything at home online. Give to the truth that we share here. And everyone here can bring into their hands, into their hearts, that gift they'd like to make to Unity of Boulder. And let's bless these gifts with this offering prayer. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is. Amen. And we have Lavinia sharing her beautiful music with us once again.
I've seen love come and I've seen love walk away. So many questions I've started breathing, the weight is lifted. Here with you it's easy, my head is finally clear. There's nothing missing when you are by my side. I took the long road, but now I realize I'm home with you. I'm home. I don't know who I'd be if I didn't know you. I'd probably fall off the edge. I don't know where I'd go if you ever let go, so keep me out in your hands. I don't know who I'd be if I didn't know you. I'd probably fall off the edge. I don't know where I'd go if you ever let go, so keep me out in your hands. You're my safe place, my hideaway. You're my anchor, my saving grace. You're my constant, my steadiness. You're my shelter, my oxygen. I don't know who I'd be if I didn't know you. Thank God I do. I don't know who I'd be if I didn't know you. I'd probably fall off the edge. I don't know where I'd go if you ever let go, so keep me out in your hands. I don't know who I'd be if I didn't know you. Thank God I do.
Amazing, beautiful. All right, well, last week I said I would finish up that prosperity worksheet that we worked on after the service for an hour, but because we have a potluck, I don't want to take away from it. So we'll finish that worksheet next week for an hour if you want to join us. And even if you didn't start with us last week, we had like 22 people. We had an amazing time, a lot of sharing. Really working on just really instilling what we want to create this year, you know, as adversaries, as far as law of attraction goes, as far as relationships and financials and all that good stuff. So next week I will lead that in the back of the sanctuary, but today we'll just go in and eat together and have community and grow our community. So I think today is a day to do Let There Be Peace on Earth.
Okay, we
All
can
right,
do that.
so
But let's first announce that we do have prayer partners.
Yeah, let's all stand up.
Prayer partners are here for you. If you have a particular challenge you want to pray about, just remain seated as we file out. It'll only take a few minutes. Prayer partner will come to you and pray with you.
And let's just all stand. We don't have quite enough people to get into a big circle. It's below zero outside here in Colorado. It's our first big storm. So I'm just happy with all that came today. Thank you for getting out on those roads and supporting this place. It really means a lot to us. All right, here we go.
Family, all are we.
singing. Come join us for food. We've got plenty of food if you don't have a dish to share. Just come on over and meet new friends.